Some stories from history just stick with you. They present a choice so difficult, so possible. You can't help but put yourself in that shoes. Today, we're diving into one of those stories. The incredible journey of Sally Crane, a woman forced to decide between her own and the very lives of her children. I mean, just think about that for a second. It's a question that cuts right to the bone. Your own liberty, the thing you've dreamed of, for the safety of your kids. Sally Crane, this wasn't some thought, it was her reality. She faced this exact dilemma, her story really makes you question what sacrifice and even freedom truly mean.
Here's how we're going to walk through her. Start with the impossible choice she was down. Look at how love itself was used as a win against her. Follow her two very different escapes and what she learned. And we get to the heart-pounding part and the trap. Finally, we'll cover the final bargain she made and what it all about a different kind of freedom.
So let's set the scene. It's 1853. We're in Clark County, Alabama, on the plantation of a man named Robert. On that plantation, Sally Crane is the house slave. She's indispensable. She runs the entire household like clockwork. That's just her job. Her life was being a mother.
This is where things get related, and honestly, pretty hard. See, for an enslaved mother, the emotion you have, that fierce, protective love of your children, could also be the heaviest thing you to a life of slavery. And that ability, her owner, Robert Thornton, knew exactly how to use it. Her whole world was her four kids, Louisa, Beatrice, Thomas, and Marcus. He'd even taken the incredible risk of teaching them to read in secret, an act that could have gotten all of them really punished. Her love for them was everything, but it was a source of constant terror, because he knew, at any moment they could be sold, taken from her forever.
And here's the horrifying contrast. While Sally saw her children as her hold, her owners saw them as property. When her oldest, Louisa, was born, he really just wrote it down in his business like he would a new piece of farmland. Cold, calculating mindset is what sets the stage for the crisis that's about to.
And that crisis came fast. Sally overheard Thornton talking to a slave. Deal was done. He was selling her children to pay off some debts and, as he put it, to ease certain tensions in the household. Timeline? The end of May. She had just 4 weeks. 4 weeks until her family was going to be heard for good.
So what do you do? Can you do? She ran, but her journey to freedom wasn't just one single act. It was a process, a painful learning process. We're going to look at her first 2 escapes, as the difference between them, well, that's the key to understand things she does later.
Okay, so let's break this down. Escape number 1 was just pure, raw panic. She took off with no plan, no help, it's this desperate need to do something. She made it for 3 days, all the way to the Tennessee border. The thought of her children being sold out her there was just too much to bear. She turned around and went back. Our second escape, a few months later, night and day. This time, it was strategic. It was planned. Most importantly, she had help from a hidden network. This time, she made it all the way to Freedom, Ohio. A huge part of that second success was a figure known only as the Shepherd. She knew her real name, but she was this almost mythical coordinator on the Underground Road. She actually sent a secret message to Sally after her first failed attempt, warning her not to try running alone. The Shepherd offered a new, much more rigorous path. Get yourself to freedom first, and then she would help Sally do the impossible, go back for her children.
Just imagine this. For months of careful planning in the state of Ohio, Sally starts her third journey. This time, she's not running north to she's heading south, right back into Lion's Den. She's using a fake name, Mary, carrying forward, even posing as a hired slave in a nearby, all to scout things out before the attempt.
You can just feel the tension building on this line. After months of safety, she's back in Alabama in April, living a lie every single day. And on the night of May 1st, she sneaks on Thornton Plantation one last time. But here's the thing. She wasn't the only one who'd been preparing. Thornton was smart. He knew she'd come back for them. He was waiting. As Sally is gathering her children by the wall, suddenly, lantern light explodes around the overseer, a man named William Pike, stepped out of the darkness, pistol in his hand, and he says those words, "Evening, Sally, we've been missing you." In that one moment, she knew. Thornton had used her own daughter, Beatrice, as promising her a little extra food if she would just go to the well at midnight. The whole rescue was a trap from the start.
So he has her. Thornton lays out his victory terms, and they are just brutal. First, a public whip and make an example of her to everyone else. Second, the thing she feared most in the world. He would sell all 4 of her children right away and scatter them to the furthest corners of the South, making absolutely sure he would never, ever see them again. So she's surrounded. She's captured. Her worst nightmare is coming true. In Thornton's mind, he's won. It's over. In that moment, when all seemed lost, Sally did something incredible. She completely redefined what victory meant. She stopped thinking about escape for herself. She made one last, impossible choice. Instead of begging, she made a counteroffer. business proposal. He told Thornton she would accept any payment he wanted, remain his slave for the rest of her life, and she would give her word never to run again. But, in exchange, he had to promise not to sell her children. Her argument was pure genius. She told him that the story of a runaway who chose to return to bondage to be with her family was a much more powerful for control than the money he'd get from sale. And unbelievably, Thornton.
So what happens after a bargain like that? They literally traded her own body, her own, for a guarantee that her family stay together. It's a legacy that is so complex that historians are still debating it to this day.
Did her sacrifice pay off? What happened to her kids? Well, the historical record gets a little, but we have these clues. We find census records with 4 people named in that area after the Civil War. There's a letter from a Louisa Crane in Ohio that mentions that her mother taught her in secret. And there's even a tiny paper article about an old woman from Emma who told to visit the shepherd in 1868. Can't know for sure, but all these little hints point to one compelling idea, that these children probably did find their...
While her children found her, Sally kept her end of the bargain. She the whipping. She lived the next 17 years slave on the Thornton plantation. She died 1870, 5 years after the Civil War ended, having never once left Clark County again. Her children's future was bought with the price of her own.
So how do we make sense of this? Historians are really split. Some see her arguing that her love was basically weaponized against her to keep the system of... Others see it as a radical choice. They say that in a world designed to give her zeros, she found a way to assert her own views, to protect what mattered most to her. She chose family over personal liberty. And you know what? Both sides are probably right.
This was the message the shepherd had sent us all that time ago. And it really gets to the core of this whole... Thornton used Sally's love as a chain to trap. In the end, Sally turned the tables. She used that exact same love as her weapon to carve out a future for her children that was different from her own.
And that really leaves us with this one last question. Sally Crane never got to live a single day as a free woman in the North. In a system designed to strip her of all agency, she found a way to make choice. Not just once, but 3 times. Maybe that act of choosing, of defining on your own terms, maybe that is its kind of freedom.